So how do you know as a person you're actually working hard? Because there's a person who's sitting in an ergonomically correct chair for 8 hours a day with Wi-Fi, and they're on TikTok. And after the day, they're like, "Oh, I worked so hard." And then there's a lady in the Congo with a baby strapped to her back mining cobalt 18 hours a day. She also thinks she works hard. Where do you fall in between that?
I'm Kandas Rodarte. This is Gratitude Geek, and today we are talking to 12-time national boxing champion Cam F. Awesome. We're talking about turning setbacks into comebacks. All right, so dude, tell us your story. What do you want the audience to know about you?
I used to be a boxer, but I would like that to be secondary.
And I led with the boxer.
Yeah, no. I know. That's why I boxed. So when I was boxing, I thought I had to make a decision when I was like 18 after high school. Like, what am I going to do? Am I going to go to college? And I was like, I'm going to try this boxing thing. Because my thought process was like, athlete privilege, you get a bunch of things as an athlete that you don't really deserve, and you get opportunities you shouldn't get. Because in America, we value athletes. So I decided to collect national championships so people would care about who I am and what I had to say. It just gets me in the door. So I love what boxing has done for me.
You're a 12-time national boxing champion. You also qualified for the Olympics.
3 times.
3 times. Did you ever make it actually to the Olympics?
No. So I started boxing in high school because of bullying. And I thought if I looked like a boxer, people would leave me alone. I didn't really even care about the confrontation part of it because I've never been a confrontational person. But then I went to a boxing gym because it was the only free gym in my neighborhood. And I learned I had really good work ethic because I was afraid. I was always afraid to get hurt in boxing. So I worked out really, really hard.
I'm sorry. That's funny.
I was terrified always.
I'm afraid of getting hurt, so I'm going to be a boxer.
It's the only free gym. You make do with what you've got. But I realized like if I worked out really hard, I wouldn't get hit. And I had a very defensive style for like a heavyweight. And I found a lot of success in boxing. So within 2 years of boxing, I won that. I was the number 1 boxer in the country and in my weight class. So I went from not being able to make a team in high school, because I tried out for every sport, to becoming the number 1 boxer in the country within 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and I can tell you how it happened, but when I do tell you, I didn't have this vision, but I wasn't very cool in high school in New York in my mind because you think that matters when you're a teenager, and I didn't have any confidence. So my senior year of high school, I got to move to Florida, and I realized I could reinvent myself. No one knew who I was. There was MySpace, but for the most part, no one really would know who I am. So I pretended to be the person I wanted to be. And hook, line, and sinker, everyone believed it. So I was living my dream life in Florida, and the problem was my boxing gym was 6 miles away from my high school. So I really wanted to do boxing because college was not going to be an option for me. So I just took a 6-mile walk every day after school. It would take me about 3 hours. And this is before iPods were out, but they were expensive, so I didn't have music. So I just walked with my thoughts, and I would make up stories in my head. And if I'm going to be the author of a story, I might as well be the protagonist. So I would make up these stories about how great I was and how everyone was afraid of me and how I was knocking everyone out and I had all the money and all the cars and I was the best thing ever. And then I would go work out. And I realized better I spoke about myself and the more highly I spoke about myself, the better I did at the gym. And the better I did at the gym, when I started competing, the better I was doing in boxing. And I started winning, which reinforced it. And then that would make me excited to walk to the gym for 3 more hours. And for 15 hours a week, Kandas, I'm just patting myself on the back and telling myself how great I am. And I qualified for the Olympic trials in 2008, but I lose. And I was boxing less than 2 years. But that was like a big deal for me. I'd never made a team, and I made it to the Olympic trials. I lost the first day, but I made it.
Hey, that's a huge deal. I mean, only a dozen boxers actually make it, right?
Yeah.
For the country they're representing. So if you get down to the pool that they choose those 12 from, or whatever the number is, I don't know what the number is.
8.
It's 8.
Yeah.
So I had a bigger number. So and really, there's only one boxer representing your weight class, right?
Just one.
So when you think about it, you made it down to the final few to qualify for that one seat.
Yeah.
It's huge. Congratulations.
Thank you. And that was, I didn't understand what I was doing because I started boxing, but I just started boxing because my coach was like, you're in better shape than everyone else. And I got to go to states and I won. I didn't understand how big that was. I was just so oblivious to it. And I got to go to regionals, which that meant nothing to me. It was just like I just got to go fight in like a rented hall in South Carolina. And then I got to go to nationals.
It's so glamorous.
Oh, it was actually at a
so
funeral home. I swear to you, it was at a funeral home in Columbia, South Carolina.
That's where they had the championship or the trials.
No, it was the regionals in 2007
okay.
because someplace got flooded and the only place they could get was this funeral home.
That was large enough. Okay.
That was
okay.
So, so to me, it wasn't anything glamorous that I was doing. But then I got to go to nationals and anyway, in 2008, I lost at the Olympic trials, and this is where normally a boxer would turn pro. But I had this realization: everyone in the tournament that lost turned pro, and they're gone. Well, if everyone leaves and I don't, aren't I automatically the best? Mm-hmm. That was my 18-year-old thought process. I was like, well, everyone else is gone. I'm going to be the big dog. And I realized so many times in our lives we fail and then we want to just stop. It was now you have experience. And I realized with that experience, with boxing, I had more experience than the other new boxers, crop of boxers who came in. And I ended up winning nationals every year, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, and 2012. Won the Olympic trials, but was eventually removed off the team.
So tell us that story.
Drug testing issue. I wasn't even didn't test positive or anything. I left the country and forgot to tell the drug testing agency. And they showed up to my home to give me a random drug test. I was fighting in a tournament where you get drug tested to fight in. So it's not like there was anything I was hiding. And I got suspended for that. It was...
That's a timing thing.
I've since learned to accept what happened. It was difficult to accept that.
I bet.
Because it wasn't even a real offense. It was the time where Lance Armstrong went on Oprah. And that was the whole thing, and the drug testing agency wanted to crack down to show they mean business.
Yeah.
It was silly. When I returned to boxing, I became the athlete rep for the drug testing agency to speak on behalf of the athletes because, I'm not a fan of the way the process used to be. And I will give them grace as an organization because if I had a complaint, they're like, if you have a complaint, come do something about it. And they allowed me to. And so they do listen to their athletes, but I think as people, sometimes we don't want to speak up or ruffle feathers.
Yeah.
But I think question
But I mean,
everything.
to be honest, there was a time, it might have been a decade, where drug testing was this huge deal. Like, everybody talked about it, and now nobody cares. I mean, in terms of the audience, the spectators.
Yeah, I think even with that, to go even deeper, before we could only care about what the 8 different stations told us to care about. Now we got other things to care about.
Yeah.
We don't care. We don't care what Barry Bonds is doing.
No, I just remember going to Oakland A's games and really enjoying watching them.
Yeah.
I didn't care if he was on drugs or not. It was enjoyable to watch him.
Yeah, that's actually, there's something to be said about that, because if sports is for excitement and entertainment, I think barring any combat sport where there's physical consequences for being on a steroid or anything, when it comes to someone's safety, we shouldn't mess around with that. Like,
No, absolutely
I'm for
not.
that. But baseball,
And if it gives you an unfair advantage,
baseball,
yeah, baseball. I know.
Oh.
Most of the time, based on the number of A's games that I went to when I lived in Oakland, it was mostly just a bunch of people standing in the outfield doing nothing. That's what baseball is. So yeah. But
Yeah.
I mean, it was a big deal. It was a big deal. I think mostly it was the gambling aspect of it. But now gambling is part of sports. I mean, they've just rolled gambling into sports. You know, before we go down that avenue, I want to come back to you talking to yourself and telling your story. Creating your own story on your 3-mile walk.
Yeah.
Because you've probably heard this before, but there is this dude named Cassius Clay who told himself the story that he was the greatest boxer of all time. And then he changed his name to Muhammad Ali. And there isn't a person in the United States or the world who doesn't know who Muhammad Ali is or was, because he was the greatest boxer of all time. Even if he really wasn't, he was, right? He told himself the story and everybody believed him. So you have 2 things in common with him. One is you changed your name, and the other is you told yourself a new story. So talk about that.
Yes. I didn't understand what happened. It was like I became so confident so quickly. And then I had an opportunity to go back to New York to walk for graduation. So I was like, yeah, just to go back to flex. Like,
So you were in high school when this happened?
yeah, well, not the beginning part when I first started boxing.
Okay.
For the Olympic trials, but
Wow.
it all happened pretty
So
quickly.
young. So young.
Yeah, but right before the Olympic trials, I got to go walk at the high school graduation. And I couldn't wait for everyone to see this new person I became, because I'm confident now. I have cool friends. I have like a personality. And the second I walked into the high school doors, I reverted back into that awkward 14-year-old I used to be.
No.
I couldn't figure it out. And I walked, and I couldn't wait to get back to Florida where I was cool again. And I just always avoided New York because I felt like my batteries were out of me. Like I couldn't cam. And in 2012, when I got suspended, I had no backup plan other than sports. So I understood, like, I have to keep boxing. I don't have a degree. I don't have a certification. I'm not going to go to school. So, like, I have to box. And I don't have a backup plan. But I realized, like, when I go back to boxing, I want to be able to market myself to be more than a boxer. I gained quite a bit of weight. I gained about 60 to 70 pounds during my suspension. And it was time to like lose the weight and get back into boxing. And I would work out for a few days and I would fall off, and I'd work out for a few, and I couldn't get myself to lose the weight. I couldn't get myself to work out consistently. And that was like who I am. Like, and just one day I was really beating myself up, like calling myself an idiot, calling myself fat, a loser. And in that moment, as I was beating myself up, I realized there's a difference between me in 2012 and the me that walked to the gym every day. One of us liked me. And because I liked me, I continued on, and I had something to look forward to. But I was just beating myself. I work out, I see no progress in one day, and I beat myself up. And I'm like, but how often do we do that? And that's just one example of the times I've done that in my life. That was just such a huge moment in my life where it really stuck with me. And I didn't like how negative I became. And I understood the only way I can pull myself out of this hole is to speak to myself the way I used to speak to myself when I was walking to the gym. And the crazy thing about this, Kandas, is it's free. It's free to talk kindly about yourself. It's free to celebrate you. Like, life is going to humble you. You don't need to be humble yourself. Like, speak your greatness.
I love that. Life is humbling. You don't need to be humble to yourself. I absolutely love this. So this is April of 2025 when we're recording this, and the figure skating championships have the 2025 figure skating championships have just ended. And the big news story in sports right now is that Alyssa Liu had the greatest skating comeback of all time. Are you following this story?
No,
Okay. So apparently she was a pretty competent figure skater when she was in her early teens. And then she decided not to do figure skating anymore. And then last year she said, I'm going to pick up my skates and I'm going to do it again. And she just won the championship.
Oh, what is...
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on. Her name is Alyssa Liu. Alyssa Liu. Okay. Dude, she's 19 years old. And they're calling it the greatest figure skating comeback of all time.
Oh, I thought there was more of a gap. I was like, I would love to look this up.
She's 19. And so my thinking here, with you telling me that you started boxing when you were a teenager, my thinking is that we put so much pressure on young people to be champions. And really, I mean, you did it for 12 years. So yeah. I'm going to assume that as you got older, you got better.
Yes, definitely. Because so many boxers would have turned pro in 2008 just when they got started because they can. But I decided to stick around just for ego because I thought if I have 4 national championships and you have a bachelor's degree and we apply for a marketing job, who do you think is going to get it? So I understood what winning championships meant. And I did it once and I was like, I'm the greatest thing ever. There's no reason why I can't repeat this. And I lost a bunch, but I won a bunch. And I didn't care about my record. I just cared how many championships I had because when I get announced, it says 12 times national champion. Mm-hmm. That's not even relevant in real life. Granted, I did difficult things and I overcame some things. But the one thing that boxing taught me was objectively what hard work is. Because the fear I had of being humiliated or getting knocked out or being embarrassed, that made me know how hard I should be working. Because when you don't work hard enough, you get punched in the face.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's pretty true for no matter what, even if it's not sports. If you don't work hard enough, you will get punched in the face. If you don't work hard enough at being a marketer, you get punched in the face by the person who does work harder.
So how do you know as a person you're actually working hard? Because there's a person who's sitting in an ergonomically correct chair for 8 hours a day with Wi-Fi, and they're on TikTok, and after the day, they're like, I worked so hard. And then there's a lady in the Congo with a baby strapped to her back mining cobalt 18 hours a day. She also thinks she works hard. Where do you fall in between that?
Yeah, well, it's the self-talk thing. It's what your expectation of yourself is versus what your output is.
Expectations of yourself. I think there's like this 60% rule. I think when we set a goal, subconsciously we get to 60% and then we just kind of top out. Like if your goal is to make $100K a year, you'll probably get to around 60K and then it gets difficult. Like if you were to set your goal for $1 million, just go unrealistically big in your mind, whatever that number happens to be, and do the steps it takes to get there. You would have surpassed that 60,000 a long time ago without even thinking about it. Because it's the expectation on yourself. So when I first started boxing, the first day I was just like, how do you go to the Olympics? Because, well, I said, how do you become the number one boxer in the country? And they're like, why? I was like, because that's the biggest goal. And they're like, no, the Olympics.
That's the first question you asked yourself. Was how do I become the number one boxer in the world?
Oh, the country.
In the country.
Yeah.
That was the first thing on your mind when you first started boxing is how do I become the number one boxer in the country?
Yeah. So my girlfriend calls me Mr. Best Case Scenario because that's just how my brain works. It's just like, I'm like, oh, what's the best? I didn't say I have to get, but I want to know I want to be the best. So like, why you can be anything. So why not the best?
But I don't think it's about the money goals here that you were just talking about.
I just use the money goals just because it's like relative.
But here's the thing. It's I want to be the best I can possibly be at this thing that I'm doing. Right? That is the goal.
Yeah.
And everything else just falls into place. If you're striving to be the best podcast host on the planet, if you're striving to be the best public speaker on the planet, if you're striving to be the best mother on the planet, you're going to get much better results than if you were striving to learn how to, I don't know boxing terms, but let's just say left hook.
Yeah.
I want to know how to do a left hook. If that's all you cared about, you're going to get good at a left hook, but you won't be the number one boxer in the country. Because it's a whole thing, right?
Yeah.
It's a whole thing. It's not just about the form. It's not about the minutia. It's about everything.
Yeah.
And you can be bad at a lot of things and still be the best.
Oh, yeah. And like when I set that goal, it's like, yeah, of course that I want to be, that's the top. Where I fall. But like that, and when you set a goal like that, you couldn't fail. Like I set an unattainable goal in my mind because I'd never made a team.
But it wasn't.
I didn't know.
It wasn't unattainable.
That's how powerful your mind is.
You did it 12 times.
Well, yeah. Yeah, but I set my goal bigger to the Olympics. So the new goal was the Olympics. I never got to go there. But because I set my goal so big, I don't even consider those 12 national championships. Like the goal was the Olympics. 2008, I qualified and lost. 2012, I qualified. I won, but got kicked off the team. I returned to boxing, changed my last name to Awesome because that's who I wanted to speak into myself. I'm awesome. I'm worthy. I'm amazing. Like I'm capable of coming back. That was the whole idea. It was like I wanted to speak to myself the way I used to speak to myself. And within a year, I reclaimed my spot as captain of the USA national team. I won nationals in 2013, 14, 15. 2016, finally won the Olympic trials, but then lost an international competition and didn't get to go to Rio. I
still think you accomplished a lot.
Thanks.
3 Olympics. That's 12 years, and plus the years leading up to that. So we're talking probably 16 years of working really, really hard, and I think you accomplished a lot.
Thanks. Also, when I decided in 2016 to retire and get into speaking, and I bought a van, and I lived in my van, traveled around the country speaking at high schools and middle schools. Someone made the down by the river joke to me, and I was like, that's a great idea. And I did that for like 3 years.
You lived down by the river?
Well, it was not down the river, but I lived in a van speaking at schools, motivating kids. Because I got into boxing because of bullying. So I went back to speak to schools. And one of the number one questions the kids were asking was, like, why aren't you going for the 2020 Olympics? So I signed up for Team USA, but they wouldn't let me sign up for, it's an amateur sport. They wanted me to dissolve my speaking business, which I couldn't do.
That's not fair. Professional basketball players can be in the Olympics. How come a professional speaker can't be in the Olympics?
Well, the whole professional part, it's like you can't accept, and they're changing the rules now a little bit, but if you make money boxing, then you're considered a pro. You can never go back to fight amateur.
Yeah, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard because the entire USA basketball team is all professional athletes.
Oh, yes. So because there's an amateur boxing program that leads to the Olympics. If you could just turn pro and then go to the Olympics, the amateur program where basically the grassroots where kids go to box and get better, that will dissolve.
Yeah.
So
Or you could say the same thing about basketball. So
yeah,
I don't.
I didn't agree
think
with
it's
it
cool.
either.
I don't think it's cool. I think that they should have left the Olympics to the amateurs for basketball. But
basketball. Oh yeah, I completely because the pros don't really need it.
But I also don't think that you should have been exempt from competing or prevented from competing because you weren't a professional boxer. You were a professional speaker.
Oh no! So their problem was they wanted me at training camp, living in Colorado Springs, not traveling around speaking.
Oh,
Sorry, I should have clarified that. They
Okay.
They didn't want me to have my speaking business. They wanted me to be training with them, with their coaches. But I coached myself, so I didn't really need them. So I found a loophole. My dad is from Trinidad, so I flew to Trinidad. I got dual citizenship, and I won their Olympic trials. But
did
then
you make it?
They didn't send a team because of the pandemic.
Oh, that was 2020.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But
So-
on the way there, I won 12 national championships.
Yes, you did,
Yeah.
and you qualified for the Olympics 4 times.
I qualified for Olympic trials. I only won 3 of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you qualified for the Olympic trials 4 times, and you won 3.
Yeah.
That is huge. That's a lot. My brain is trying to process all those numbers. There's a lot of numbers there. I want to talk about this setback thing because I heard you say that you stopped boxing for a little while and then you came back in 2016. Did I hear you correctly?
I stopped boxing in 2012. I got suspended for a year.
Okay.
'Cause I couldn't.
You got suspended for a year because of the drug thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then, so you came back in 2013 and you came back.
Yeah. And then 2016, I wanted to retire, but then I realized speaking at schools, it's a lot easier to get booked as the current number 1 heavyweight in the country rather than the former. And also, you get free health insurance when you're the number 1 boxer in the country, and America's the Hunger Games. So I decided I'll just continue to fight.
Okay, that quote, America is the Hunger Games. So I have decided not to do shorts and reels for my episodes anymore because I was spending a lot of time doing them and they weren't getting enough traction. And so I was spending time doing something that wasn't getting the traction that I could have been spending doing things that actually would get the traction, right? So I
Efficiency
have
of time.
averted my time that I was spending making shorts and reels to other things that are more productive. But now I'm like, I need to make that into a reel. I need to make that into a reel. America is the Hunger Games. Okay, so let's talk about this because it's the story that we just spent 20 minutes talking about setback after setback after setback after setback after setback, and you never gave up. Now, did you ever achieve that goal of being an Olympic gold medalist? No. But you didn't quit. So talk about that.
Yeah. First, I'll say the reason why I retired after 2020, the pandemic. And then 2 years later, I got a detached retina. So
From boxing?
No, it just happened in my sleep. Woke up and I just couldn't see out of one eye, and went to the eye doctor. Had emergency surgery that day, and I was told if I get punched there again, I could be permanently blinded. So I'm not for quitting, but I am for seeing. So
Yes,
it's off the
That's
table
not
now.
quitting. That's self-care.
Yeah. So it's off the table now, but I went through my entire career for that Olympic goal, and at first, if I was being honest, along the way, I realized the special treatment I was getting, and I was like, oh, because I wanted to have my own reality show. That was like the whole goal behind boxing in the very beginning. Because 2008, everyone was getting their own reality show, and I was like, I don't know how you get your own show, but if I'm like a really cool, funny boxer, I'll get it. And I never got it. Yeah, but I was able to travel to over 30 countries representing Team USA, and that was like the coolest thing ever.
What was your favorite country that you visited outside the U.S.?
Ooh, Finland.
Finland. Why?
They are just friendly people. Very educated, but friendly, loving people. And they like to party, and they want to show you a good time.
Didn't the Prime Minister of Finland like get some slack for going out partying with her friends while she was Prime Minister? I think it was Finland.
I didn't even know. I'm glad they got
Finland
a woman
is
in
the
there.
happiest.
Like, go Finland.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the
Finland is the happiest country in the world, and I mean, let's just think about all the things that Finland has. They have health care for everybody. Everybody gets to go to college. You know, you get like 6 months of paid family leave when you have a kid.
Yeah.
The Prime Minister can go clubbing with her friends.
Yeah.
Gee, I wonder why they're so happy in Finland.
True. It was a good time, except it's cold. And the reason I would go is for this tournament every year, and it was always in October. So it was never great weather, so I never got to experience Finland with girls. But they're just really, happy people.
What's a country you never want to go to again?
I don't think there would be a country.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, because there's no way you could experience every culture, all the cultures, and dictate how you feel about a place by one or even 20 visits. Like, come to the United States, Texas is a lot different than California. Mm-hmm. And there's those differences in other countries. But until you're around people, you don't see the different types of people there are. Just a crazy, like, I grew up in Uniondale, like in New York. We didn't have white people. So I thought all white people were the same. And my mind was blown when I was like, oh, there's like fancy white folk, and they're like country white folk, and they're down south white, like, and I'm like, but from the outside, everyone looks the same. Mm-hmm. But when you actually immerse yourself in a culture, you'll realize there's more to it than you could ever imagine.
Well, the truth of the matter is everybody's the same on the inside. We all have red blood and white bones, right? We're all the same on the inside. It's only the outside that makes us different. But really, how different are we?
Yeah.
I mean, we both have two eyes. We both have eyebrows.
One of my
we both
eyes
have a
not the
nose.
greatest.
Well, I'm wearing glasses, so there you go.
I'm wearing contacts.
So I am a California girl. I'm 6 generations of California. I wasn't born there, but that's where my family's from, right? And I moved to Texas when I was about 26. And I felt like I had moved to another country. It was so different. So different. And then in 2017, we moved, my husband and I and our daughter moved to Michigan. And again, I feel like I live in a different country. This is such a large nation that just the culture and I lived in Houston, you live in Austin.
Yeah.
I remember going to visit Austin and thinking, man, this is such a great town. It's nothing at all like Houston because they're nothing like each other. Yeah. Austin's really hip, huge music scene. Houston has a fantastic theater district. I mean, you could see Broadway plays almost every weekend, right? In Houston, because Broadway's there all the time. Great. I mean, but not really a hip music scene. Not a lot of clubbing. Like Houston's not that kind of city. But Austin, man, you could go listen to live music on every corner, right? It's just a different. And they're only 3 hours apart.
But from someone from Rhode Island, Texas is just Texas.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
And when people from Rhode Island think of Texas, they think of those old Western movies. Well, the part of
the Cowboys,
the part of Texas I'm from I lived in was a forest. It was a national forest.
Oh,
I was surrounded by trees, right? And where in Austin is a lot of oak trees and hills, right?
Yeah.
Are nothing like each other, and they're 3 hours apart.
Yeah, it's good to immerse yourself in stuff.
Yeah, and if you never leave your little town, you don't get to. You know, the number. My husband and I had a custom furniture business in a town, a very small town of 1,000 people, about 65 miles north of Houston. Very small town, and so we hired kids from the local college, which was a big college, and we hired high school students to work for us. And the high school kids that went to the local high school, many of them had never gone to Houston. It was an hour drive, and they'd never been to Houston, not once. And like, but this little town that you live in of 1,000 people is not the real world.
No.
You know, you need to go to Houston. You need to
Get a
go and
bigger sample
experience what
size.
the real world is like, right?
What I found is those people are usually the ones with the strongest opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been, I mean, I haven't been everywhere, but I've been 38 countries, I believe. And with boxing, because boxing is considered like a poor man's sport, like soccer. They're in places that you don't need much to do it. The best boxing gyms are in the hood. When we go to other countries as number one boxer in the U.S., we go to their country, we go to where their best boxers are. So we get to live around those people, only just for a couple weeks, but I didn't get to have the resort experience. So I got to be around the people and I got to see the way they live, and it was so eye-opening for me. Mm-hmm. Like how many things I take for granted. Like I need air conditioning to sleep. Yeah, and to them they have so much less and they seem so much happier. And then I take a look around, or even myself, at how ungrateful I can be at times for how much stuff I have, and still complain. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, if I'm not looking for the stuff to make me happier, then why do I want all the stuff?
That's something that most of us need to come to terms with.
Well,
so like, why do we need this stuff?
Well, I can tell you why. Because a 3-year-old can't read, but she knows the McDonald's sign. TV is what we grew up on. It's just nonsense for 22 minutes in between commercials. The reason why you're watching it, the reason why it's sponsored. And
but we don't even have TV anymore like that.
Oh, no.
Now they just have these little YouTube videos.
But the same, it's the same. Every four posts is an ad. We're constantly shown things to make us want it. Companies hire very intelligent people, more intelligent than me, to figure out what gets your brain to light up. And they add that not just to your foods, but also to like technology. You click the like button, it endorphins. It's like, we're addicted to it. And we're also addicted to things. Like, we need so much stuff. If we had less, we'd be happier. But I don't want less.
I kind of do.
I mean, sure, but I mean, I want exactly what I want. I want air conditioning. I want good Wi-Fi. I want a safe place for my girl to walk our dog. I want a balcony. I want to be able to travel when I want.
Those are all things that aren't really material. I mean, the air conditioning is material, but the air conditioning in Texas is a necessity, not a not a want. It's if you don't have it, you die. Right? You know?
Need that.
It's like if we didn't have heat in Michigan.
Yeah, that'd be a struggle.
I really want to dig into this because I think that's the foundation of gratitude. I mean, one of my favorite sayings is when we are grateful for what we have enough. When we appreciate what we have appreciates. And I think that that's the foundation of when you give your presentations in these schools, I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. I love how all that tied into gratitude, because I realize how much I do have, and I do see how it's so addicting to want more. And I had to change my values to be able to be happier. And by that I mean, like, I don't care. Now I have to care about my outfits a little bit more because, like, I'm on stages and I'm speaking. But I don't care about, like, clothes or jewelry or name brands. I care about free time. And once I allow myself to realize, like, oh, jewelry, that's not a flex to me. A nice car, that's not a flex to me. Going grocery shopping at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday, that's a flex to me.
That's a flex to me, too.
So
Being able to put my kid on the bus and pick her up from the bus and not have to worry about anything else, that meant I was successful. That was my litmus test.
I love that.
Every day my kid gets off the bus and I'm standing right there waiting for her.
And I realize not everyone, like, and a lot of people don't have that. And for some people, they may not believe it's possible. But I try not to judge what I have based on other people. Because, no one wins with comparison.
Comparison doesn't get you anywhere. Because, I mean,
It's
how many...
hard, though. I know logically it doesn't.
Yeah.
But
the stories of people who have money who are miserable is, I mean, money doesn't buy happiness. Money buys things that might make you happy for a little bit, but it doesn't buy happiness.
No, money solves problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It solves problems.
I will say though, I've had money and I have not had money. I've had money again and then I've not had money again. And consistently having money's better.
That's true. But I was talking about, gazillionaires.
Oh, yeah. I didn't have any of those type of monies in my ups and downs. I'm talking about I got gas without doing math. I did math before I got gas. I got gas. That was the...
But how many of us have done that? Looked at our bank account and gone, okay, my tank is empty. I've got $20. If I put $10 of gas in, I'll be able to... This was back, when gas was a lot less expensive. Now it's only two gallons. But if I put 10 gallons of gas or $10 worth of gas in, I can make it for 2 more days.
Yeah, that's...
It should be okay.
I remember those days. Yeah. And and for some people who are still in those days, one of the things that I had to do to get out of that was realize I'm not there by accident. I have specific spending habits that was modeled to me by either my parents or the people around me, and I have to make changes in my life. And the more miserable I am in those changes that I make, the greater of a change I'll see.
I think it was Johnny Depp, and I don't have the numbers correctly, so I will link the article in the show notes for the audience so that I'm not misquoted or said, Candace, get the numbers wrong. But Johnny Depp, I believe he had to file bankruptcy because he was spending something like $25 million a month, but he was making $5 million a month. He was grossly outspending his actual income.
Oh, yeah. Yo. I couldn't imagine the stress that comes with owing that much money. Like, I've got mail back here. I went through like a toll and I'm supposed to like pay $17 or something. I just haven't got around to it. Now it's probably like $27. I couldn't imagine owing $20 million.
Yeah, but he was spending that every month. He was spending $20 or $25 million a month, $20 million more than he was making.
You know what that tells me? That is an actual lifestyle, which means that is attainable, which means with the right abundance mindset, if that is possible, if spending $25 million on silliness is possible, then you can be in a place where you're spending $2,000 because that's so much more insignificant than that. So your goals are so much even more achievable that maybe you should set your goals for that 25 million. So here's something that I'm battling with because I love money. One of my favorite things ever. Like I like
kind of like Oprah loves bread.
Yeah.
I love money.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, I like talking about it because I read a lot of money books. I'm learning about finances because it's important. Financial security is important to me. And I like to have money conversations, but there's this taboo culture around talking about the thing we base our life around. Like, why do you go to school? So you get a job. Why do you want a job? To get money. Where are you at right now? Probably work. Why are you there? Do you want to be there? Probably not. Why are you there? Money. So, but if we can't talk, if you don't talk about money and it's so secretive, then even if you're working very hard, you'll still see very little money. And it's if you ever feel like, how do I make this much and where does all this money go? And a lot of us don't know there's people you can talk to about that. And I wouldn't even know who to talk to about that. I'm not that guy, but I'm just thinking out loud. These are just new thoughts. But I think it's important that we find people we can talk to about money and our spending habits, because whether you admit them or you don't, they exist.
Yep. And the thing is, you can make $100,000 a year and be homeless because you're spending $120,000 a year.
Yeah.
And this is the reality for many, many Americans. And I know it is because I have a friend who is a debt coach, and she helps people who spend more than they make get back on track. That's her job, right?
Debt coach, that'd be someone.
We need to wrap up. Oh, I'm so
sorry.
disappointed. I'm so disappointed. So is there anything that we haven't talked about yet that you really want to talk about?
Oh, yeah. Well, the whole idea of your positive internal dialogue, I realized when I look back at that whole suspension situation and changing my name, and how speaking highly of myself allowed me to reach higher goals in my life more easily. And I know it's obnoxious to legally change your last name to Awesome, but I only did it because I am obnoxious. But for most people, you could just not change your name.
What does the F stand for?
It's just the F on my birth certificate.
Okay.
Just an F. Who knows? But I left the F there because I don't think life is that serious. And I think we put so much pressure on ourselves, and this is all a joke. Like, what you think, like, just like we thought whatever we thought was important in high school, and now we're like, that's a waste of time. Whatever you think's important today.
Nothing was important in high school.
You know? In 100 years, whatever you're thinking will not be important.
Yeah.
Just like enjoy yourself while you're here. And that's what that F symbolizes to me.
I really, because you said 100 years, I really think that it's important that we hang on to our history. So it's good. 100 years, what we did in high school isn't going to matter, but 100 years, what we do does matter. What we do today does matter. So I think that it's an important part of our gratitude that we be grateful for the legacy that we leave.
Yes, that's important. I agree with that. I concur. Oh,
Yeah.
Sorry. When I look back at the suspension years and the way I spoke about myself, I started to do that when I started to slide into depression during the pandemic, and I realized I was up to date with everything that was going on in the entire world, even though it didn't really affect my life, and I was on social media all the time, and I needed to find that happiness again. So I found out that your brain is most receptive to information first thing in the morning, and not good information or bad information, just information. And a lot of us start our day with the news or social media. The news, if it bleeds, it leads. Social media, the worst gets shown first. And we start our day with negative thoughts. And so if you go shopping for a yellow car all weekend and you don't buy a yellow car, you'll start seeing yellow cars everywhere. That's your reticular activating system. When you tell your brain to be conscious of something, it will then start to be conscious of it. Your brain sees all the cars, but it only shows you the yellow cars because it thinks that's what's relevant to you. It's why whichever car you drive happens to be one of the most popular cars on the road. It's not. You trained your brain to look for certain things. And when you wake up and when you watch the news, you're training your brain to look for death, destruction, genocide, murder. And when you go out through your day, that's the things that will be spotlighted through your life. And we create the hell we live in sometimes. I decided to start my day every day writing a list of 10 things I'm grateful for. I never repeat anything on this list, except for like interactions with someone if I see them again. But I did that every day. The idea was to do it for 30 days to see if I can change my attitude, because I started to get negative again. And after about 3 weeks, it gets very difficult to come up with things. And I would have to do this list before I looked at my phone. So what I started to do is I started to look for things throughout my day, stored in my memory so I can write my list faster so I can look at my phone. And I started to train my brain to look for all the good in life. And I've been doing this every day since July 26th of 2021. I don't repeat anything on the list. And this simple action of starting my day has completely changed my life and what I'm grateful for.
All right, Cam, this is your moment of gratitude. For whom or what are you most grateful?
My dog, Bella. I am so, because I was never a dog person, and it was always weird to me that people let dogs in their house. Because growing up, like, my parents would never let a dog in our house. So I never had a dog, and I was never really around dog people. But then I started dating a girl who had a dog. And I mean, I love her, but Bella's up there. And I've grown attached to a dog, which I never thought I would. And now I love dogs. I always thought I loved dogs, just like seeing them, but I get why. And I know it's strange, like, oh, what an epiphany. I get why people dog. Like, it's just like endless joy until like 5:55. It's food time. She's like, woo, 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 woo. And then right after that, back to the joy. But yeah, she brings so much happiness to my life. And it's like $30 a month in food. Yeah. It's a good investment for happiness.
Thanks for tuning in to Gratitude Geek, the podcast for grateful micropreneurs building genuine, lasting relationships with clients, colleagues, and community. Our theme music is by Rev Brock and Soul Lily. To connect with Cam Awesome, head over to the show notes at gratitudegeek.com. This is episode 267. I've been your host, Kandas Rodarte. Stay groovy, my friends.
Stay groovy, my friends.